Dear brothers, good morning, boys. Hope this finds you all getting after it this week. I had a great conversation, just a high class conversation with a client of mine actually the other day that I wrote down that we had discussed. And he's in his mid 50s, been married for a long time. But we got on the topic of getting his wife in the gym more, keeping her a little bit more consistent with her training and what she's doing. And we were going back and forth, and something that I said to him really resonated with him, but also with me. And my point is where you go, you being her husband, she will follow. And my point of that was, don't expect her to do things that you aren't doing. That's the way that I look at my own life. So let's talk specifically about the gym. I do not expect my wife to work out hard, get after it in the gym, in the absence of me also doing that. That's not to say that she has no drive or motivation or discipline, but I know her personality. I know how she functions, and we've known each other for quite a long time now. If I am not diligent and taking care and leading, then there's less motivation for her to follow, right? And so when we were having that conversation, it really hit home that where we lead, our spouse is going to follow. And that's not always the case, but if you are listening to this, and I'll give you a simple example that I give him. When the alarm goes off in the morning in our household, it's early, it's 5 a.m., alarm's going off. If I don't get out of bed and get dressed and get ready to get into the gym, the chances of my wife doing it are almost none. But when I get up and I put my gym stuff on and I get out the door and I turn the light on and I shut the alarm off, the chances are 99.9% that she's going to wake up and get downstairs with me and get in the gym, because there's an expectation that that's where she needs to be. She knows it's good for her. She understands the importance of it. But when I don't do it, the chances of her doing it are just less. And so it's my job to lead, to wake up, to get that done, and to move forward. The same could be said for a host of other things. I know reading is one of those things. My wife knows that I love to read. I do a lot of it. I journal. And since we've been together, she has become an avid reader, because that's just what I do I have my spare time, or when every day I read, and all of a sudden she's grown to have this huge love of reading. But what I notice is when I fall off of the reading wagon, she does a little bit as well. And so in our relationship, I am the leader, and I have seen the repercussions when I'm not living up to that standard. So for those of you who are married, you're dating, understand that you bear a large amount of responsibility for what's happening with your spouse. So if you notice something, she's not working out as much, she's not reading, she's not taking care of her work stuff as much, she's struggling with XYZ, go look in the mirror, because you very well may be one of the reasons that that's actually a struggle. You are called to lead. We've talked about this at length, to work and to keep. To keep is partly to lead, to be responsible for what's happening around you and in your family. So I know it's not as easy as, people just follow your example, but guess what? If you're not setting the example and they're not doing it, then you're missing out on several fronts here. So make sure that as you do all of your activities, if you're struggling with something with your wife, hey, I want to communicate better. I want to, work out more. I want to go for a walk. I want to take care of our kids better. I don't know what whatever the topic is, make sure that you're leading it. Hey, I want to have a sit down every night for 10 minutes, just you and me, and we're going to talk about kind of the State of the Union address with how our family is doing. Maybe you do that once a week. Hey, I'd really like to rekindle, our relationship a bit more. Life's been busy with the kids and stuff. I want date night every week, non-negotiable at this time, and we have to do it. Lead the way on that. Sometimes your spouse might be nervous to do those things or not sure what to say. Again, your job is to lead. And if your job is to lead, that means you have to have action. You have to speak the words. You can't just be passive with your relationship. So understand that if you want to optimize your life, optimize your relationship with your spouse, you must be the example. When I get up in the morning, I know that she's going to follow. When I start reading, I know that she's going to follow. And I'm not saying that my wife is subservient to me in some bizarre way or that she worships me, but where I set the standard is where this family ends up going. And I'm perfectly okay with that. But most men don't like that responsibility. And so they, push it off to the side and they're like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to be responsible for that. Well, guess what? You're in for a rude awakening when life seems to be crappy all of a sudden because you're not living up to the standard that we are called to live up to. So go forward and be the example. The alarm goes off, get your ass out of bed and get to the gym. If you're struggling with raising your kids or with, having a good relationship with your wife or, being more intimate with her, guess what? Sit down, talk about it. Your job is to go sit down, have the conversation, start the conversation. It's going to be a, back and forth. It's a two-way street with the communication, but guess what? You need to be the one who starts it if it feels like things are going awry. You cannot just sit passively on the sideline and expect life to go the way you want it. If you're struggling with something with your spouse, guess what? Speak up and act in the appropriate way. That's all there is to it, boys. Stay after it. I love you all. Be the example. Be the example today. God bless. Be strong. Let's get after it, boys.